Are you a person who follows your friends who keep fish tanks, or you also follow YouTubers, the big ones, not someone who's starting off just like me? If you do, I'm sure when you follow them, you do the exact same things that they do with their fish tanks. Am I right? Hey, what's up guys? Abhishek here from AV Studio. Today we're gonna talk about one of the most hotly debated topics in the aquarium world, whether a sump is better or a canister filter. But I'm not really talking about top filters and internal filters and power filters and all of that. We all know how good or what they can or they can't do. But really the discussion is about canister filters or sumps. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you my personal opinion in terms of what I use and why I use it. The reason why I'm able to speak about it, because again, I don't want people to come back and say, what do you know? Is because I've used some of the best canister filters like the Eheim Classic 600 or the 2217 as you may say, or the Eheim Pro 4 Plus 600. I also use a Fluval FX6. So those are as far as canisters and filters are concerned, and I use a sump. Okay, so I do have some knowledge around them as to which would probably be better. The first thought that would come to people's mind is, why do we even need to use it? That's basically to clean the water. And why do we need to clean the water? Because obviously that's our fish's home, so you need to keep your home clean. They can't clean there, so you got to clean that for them. Now, why do they really get dirty? Well, I'm going to do a separate video about it in more detail. However, in this video, I just would like to just touch upon it. Something which we all know as the nitrogen cycle. Yeah, that's one of the most important things as far as aquaculture is concerned, because depending on how your nitrogen cycle is or how you're managing your nitrogen cycle in the fish tank, it would depend on how your fish thrive. So in one of my previous videos, I did say that arowana is one of the most hardiest fish in the hobby, and if you had a community tank, in all likelihood arowana would be the one that would survive till the end, even if the water parameters would really be bad. But does that really mean that it will thrive? It wouldn't, right? Because if your water quality is not good, even a very strong fish like an arowana wouldn't thrive. They would probably just survive, but wouldn't really be comfortable. And here we were talking a lot about grooming tips and how do you get your super red arowana or your whatever red arowana to be red, or your golden head arowana to maintain the head shine and the 6th level crossing and all of those things. So for that to happen, while you're going to be doing tanning and all sorts of other things, you're going to feed them carrots and good food, you would need to keep the water clean. One way of keeping the water clean is of course water changes. But you're not going to do big water changes because that would again change the parameters of the water. One of the ways to manage that is to put in a powerful filtration system. Now that could be done through canister filters or through sumps. Now let's talk about canister filters. Some of the best canister filters in the market today are manufactured by Eheim, Hydor, Fluval. They are one of the best. They work really well to manage the nitrogen cycle. Now what really is the nitrogen cycle? It's a very simple thing. I put in a diagram right here for you to understand. I'll just explain you through how it works. So it all starts with fish food and leftover food that they don't eat, the poop. All of that gets converted to a toxic compound called ammonia. You would have studied in school. Now, ammonia needs to be converted to nitrite and then to nitrate, and then it needs to go out of the water system. That's the cycle actually, as you can see it right here. Now, how it works is you need to be having something in your filtration system that would convert the ammonia to nitrite and to nitrate, and it needs to go out of the tank. Now, how it really works is through the filtration process. Now generally the filtration process, as we studied in science, has got 3 aspects to it: mechanical filtration, biological filtration and chemical filtration. Chemical filtration is very debatable A lot of people have it, a lot of people don't have it. It's a personal thing. However, I would suggest you do have chemical filtration as well in your filtration system. I have them. Now, what do they do? Okay, and how do they link up with the nitrogen cycle? Now, let's start with the mechanical filtration. Mechanical filtration are stuff which are not soluble in the water. Yeah, so it's the fish poop, any dirt, leftover food, any particles in the water that go through the mechanical filtration, which is mainly sponges, which is biological type or your normal woolly type. So that kind of mechanical filtration it goes through, and all the solid particles would get stuck in that, so the water can move on from there to the next stage of filtration, which generally is biological filtration. Now, the biological filtration is the one that really takes care of this entire nitrogen cycle. So what does biological filtration mean? Biological filtration mainly is done by certain beneficial bacteria. So the kind of filter media you would want to put in there are things like ceramic rings or bioballs, or you got your nanotaro rolls and all of that. Basically, they are nothing but solids or media which have a lot of porous surface on it. Enough surface for beneficial bacteria to live in them. Imagine a big flat or a building which have got multiple blocks of flats in it and human beings residing in it. So something very similar. You got these filtration media where the bacteria reside. Now, why do we need this bacteria? So like we spoke about the nitrogen cycle, where ammonia is formed from the leftover food, the waste, the poop and all of those things. That is very harmful to our fish, whether it's an arowana or any other fish for that matter. Now, these beneficial bacteria that reside in this filtration media or in this section of your filtration system, they feed on the ammonia. They are the ones who convert the ammonia to nitrites. Now, they're not as harmful as ammonia, but they're still harmful to our fish. And the kind of bacteria that reside in there are called the nitrosomes. The nitrosomes bacteria feed on ammonia and that gets converted to nitrites. You have the second set of bacteria called the nitrobacter. Now, the nitrobacter takes care of the nitrites, and the nitrites in turn is converted to nitrates. Now, nitrates are the ones which are, well, they are still toxic, but nowhere near what an ammonia could do. Now, nitrates are the ones that we really get rid of if, of course, we have a good filtration system. Nitrates are the ones that stay in the water, and that gets eliminated when we do a water change. So that really is the cycle. Of course, there are other heavy metals in there, which could be certain medications, other heavy metals like phosphate, copper, and all of those that could be removed, or any other impurities in the water that could be removed using a chemical filtration methodology. Now, chemical filtration can be done, like I said, it's a personal choice. A lot of people have it, a lot of people don't have it. It's good to have it, but for some reason, a lot of people have said that one of the chemical filtration media, which is carbon, a block of carbon, you could just keep in there. But a lot of people have really told me that you should not be keeping a carbon in a golden head arowana tank. I don't know why. So, if you guys are aware why a carbon should not be kept in a golden head arowana tank, then do let me know in the comment section. And that will be a great help to me, because that's something I know that people have told me not to do, but I don't know why, and I haven't really asked them. So I'm asking you today if that's true, and if it's true, then why. And I'm also asking whether, while people have said you can't keep an activated carbon block in the golden head tank, would you be able to keep a carbon block in a red arowana tank? So I don't know these. So those are questions that I'm asking you today, and maybe you might want to give me the answer. So that's one of the chemical filtration media. The other one, which is a more advanced type, is the ion exchange or the resin method, where these molecules or particles stick to this and they kind of take care of these chemicals. Now, there are multiple commercial products available in the market. The two that really comes to my mind, one of which I use, is Secum Purigen, and the other one is Chemipure Blue. I have read multiple comparisons between the two. I haven't been able to decide which is the better one, but I have seen most hobbies who keep chemical filtration and don't keep a carbon tend to go with the Purigen, and that's what I've gone with. And also, I'm aware that Purigen can also be, once it's exhausted, it can be revived by doing a technique with a bleach and all of those things. Never really tried, but they seem to work. You could kind of revive the whole thing and continue using it for months on end. Okay, so that in effect, that's the filtration system. Now a canister filter and a sump both have this filtration system. It's just that in a canister filter, you have it in a smaller area, it is inside a canister, and it does the exact same thing. So the water enters through the top and it goes through the mechanical media, which is your sponges, then goes through the biological media and then the chemical media and back up into the tank. So it's a straightforward method of filtration that a canister filter does, and it's powered by a power head in there, depending on what the kind of power or the liters per hour or gallons per hour that filter is capable of running. So Fluval FX6 is one of the monstrous canister filters available that can, if I'm not wrong, now don't hold me to it, can do somewhere around 2,500 liters per hour or 900 gallons per hour, something like that. So it's a pretty big one, and can be put in big monster tanks where you have a lot of bio load, and you probably have big arowanas and all of those things. Now that's the canister. Now what are the cons of having a canister is, and that of course it's a smaller space. You don't really get to see how the media is doing. Okay, whether it's getting clogged up, whether you're if you're having a purigen or something, whether it's exhausted, how clogged up or dirty is your biological media. You don't really know that because they're all housed inside the canister. Unless you open it, you wouldn't know how much it's clogged and when does it need cleaning. Typically what I've been told and what I have been generally doing is clean your canister once a month. I've heard insane stories about people who clean their canisters once a week, and some more insane people who clean their canisters once every other day. That's wicked. I mean, I don't know what's the point of having a canister if you got to clean it every alternate day. Now, why a lot of people rather, who clean their canisters once every alternate day or once a week, I mean at shorter intervals, in other words, they say that eventually what happens is with the filter media getting clogged up and the mechanical media part of it getting clogged up, there's a lot of ammonia built up that happens within the filter itself, which would kind of throw back nitrates into the tank and so on and so forth. So that's why a lot of people even call canister filters a nitrate powerhouse or a nitrate factory or something like that. Never really heard of so many things, but people do speak about it. But I don't think I've had that kind of an experience of a filter, of a canister filter being a nitrate factory or something like that. The advantage of a canister filter is it doesn't take up much space. You can keep it in a corner under your tank and it's just fine. And the other thing is, you don't really have to drill holes into your fish tank. It just goes through the back from both the sides, the in and the out, and you're done. It's easier to set up and run with it. It's quieter, takes up lesser electricity, and of course, because there is not much of water agitation that happens, considering that you want to get the outlet which goes back into the tank, brings water back into the tank. If you put that under the water, then you don't have much tank surface level agitation. In a way, of course, it's not creating enough oxygen, but on the other hand, on the flip side, you don't have too much of evaporation in the water as well. So these are certain advantages and disadvantages of a canister, but I think canisters are really great, and they can be used for larger tanks to keep the water conditions really good. So that was all about canister filters. Now we will now talk about sumps. However, let's take that up in part 2 of this episode, where we're going to talk about how sumps are they good enough, and also what do I prefer. Do I prefer a sump or a canister? That's coming up tomorrow. So until tomorrow, thanks for watching. Peace.